Good morning. Well, this is truly the day after. The day after the National Disciplinary Committee of the African National Congress had outdone themselves in terms of their disgraceful behavior. The day after they decided to put out on social media nogal a letter where they say that they have expelled me from the African National Congress. No respect, no courtesy, not even sending that letter directly to me as the affected member. But you see, I understand why they did that, because it was never the intention to engage me in a proper and just manner. It was never the intention to be concerned truly about the issues that I've raised with regards to our judiciary and the despicable manner in which President Jacob Zuma has been treated by his own party, by the law enforcement agencies in South Africa, and specifically by the judiciary. No, it was never that. It was a propaganda exercise. That is why this case had to be dragged on for over a year, to bring it as close as possible to the 55th National Conference, and then to bring down the sledgehammer, to suddenly issue a statement. Carl Niehaus is now expelled from the ANC. Let us investigate a little bit those charges that have been brought against me. I've been charged for saying that it was the wrong decision of the Constitutional Court to have sentenced President Jacob Zuma through an administrative process, not through a proper legal case, not through a proper court hearing, to a 15-month prison sentence. I was not alone in saying so. Two eminent judges of the Constitutional Court issued a minority judgment saying that they believe that the judgment of the majority of judges on that bench was in fact unconstitutional. There are many eminent legal experts and lawyers who also vented their opinions and said that this judgment was a travesty of justice. They also referred to the role of the Chief Justice, Mr. Justice Raymond Zondo, who at that stage was the acting Chief Justice. The conflict of interest that had been so clearly exposed between him and President Jacob Zuma, and with regards to the role that he played, specifically concerning President Zuma in the Commission of Inquiry against state capture. There are senior members of the African National Congress who over years have criticized the judiciary, who said many stronger things than what I have said on the 4th of July last year in front of the residence of President Jacob Zuma at Nkandla and in the days thereafter. There was Gwede Mantashe when he was still the Secretary General of the ANC, who in 2015, 2016, 2017 criticized the judiciary severely. More recently, we had Comrade Lindiwe Sisulu, who criticized our judiciary and said that they are acting like servants of the white establishment in South Africa. By the way, I agree with those views that she expressed. Fikile Mbalula went around saying that the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture is like a place where everyone came to urinate. Now, interestingly enough, that very same Mr. Fikile Mbalula was brought by this National Disciplinary Committee in as their star witness, the person who was going to explain that there is, in fact, apparently, some National Executive Committee decision on the judiciary that would have made it unacceptable for me to have criticized the judiciary and to have said that there are clear signs that a considerable part of our judiciary are captured. Wow. So all of this was unfolding for over a year. That period of a year is anyhow illegal in terms of the ANC's own constitution. Because the ANC's constitution states that a disciplinary matter must be dealt with expeditiously, within a period of 6 months. And after that, if it is not concluded, it must fall away. This went on time after time, one disciplinary hearing after the other, one absconding situation from carrying out his duties by Mr. Mbalula himself, who continued to be unavailable as a witness, poor administration. It went on and on for far longer than a year. In the meantime, I was every time available for those Zoom platform hearings of the NDC. I always respected the process. But the question that arises is whether the National Disciplinary Committee members themselves respected the process. Whether the ANC NEC even respects its own constitution. Because this National Disciplinary Committee that sat and judged me did not have a single member of the National Executive Committee on it. It is unheard of that such an important body is not constituted when it is involved, engaged in such an important disciplinary matter, does not have a single NEC member present. That is in contravention of the ANC's constitution. So this NDC was not constituted properly. It acted with impunity. It contravened its own rules. It broke the ANC constitution in the manner that it allowed the charge to be carried forward over a period much longer than the determined period in the constitution. So I've read the letter, which I've never received, which went into social media, and I see there that the NDC members say that they do not accept that I was acting on behalf of my organization, Umkhonto we Sizwe Military Veterans Association, that I should not have said the things I said, even if MKMVA had passed a decision as the National Executive Committee of MKMVA, that I should have gone to Nkandla, to the residence of President Zuma, confirmed to President Zuma the official decisions of the NEC of MKMVA, that MKMVA stands by him, rejects the sentence that the Constitutional Court brought out against him, will protect him, that MKMVA believes that there are clear, overwhelming indications that our judiciary has been captured. So they say, although I've been given that instruction by the National Executive Committee of MKMVA, and although I've carried that instruction out to the T, to the extent that the NEC meeting thereafter passed a resolution to congratulate me and thank me for the work that I've done, I was not supposed to have done so. I was not supposed to have said these things because there apparently is some amorphous decision somewhere within the constructs of the National Executive Committee of the ANC and the NDC's interpretation of decisions that had been taken at the 54th National Conference of the ANC, that I had contravened those decisions. But not a single shred of evidence was led. Fikile Mbalula never presented his evidence in an acceptable format. He tried once to say a few words during one of those Zoom platform NDC hearings. But then he claimed that there were technical problems, that he couldn't hear the presenter, and therefore his evidence was aborted. The presenter then wrote specifically an affidavit for Mbalula and suggested that he should sign it. He failed to sign it, which meant that that evidence became inadmissible. Now, should I go on and on about the farce that this National Disciplinary Committee hearing was? That I was sitting opposite junior members of the African National Congress. As I've said, not even a single member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC in this, what I would think is an important committee of the ANC, the National Disciplinary Committee. That I was found guilty, so to speak, on the basis of no evidence and the flimsiest of poor arguments by junior members of the African National Congress. People who have probably, some of them, not even been a thought in their mama's heads when I had already joined the ANC, participated in the underground liberation struggle on behalf of the ANC and Umkhonto we Sizwe, was arrested, tortured, and imprisoned for high treason. There they sat, holier than thou, evidently under instruction from Cyril Ramaphosa and his mafia gang in the National Executive Committee of the ANC, with a preconceived decision that I must be found guilty and that I must be expelled, and that this expulsion should happen a couple of days before the 55th National Conference of the ANC commences. Because come hell or high water, Carl Mpangazitha Niehaus must be kept out of the conference of the ANC. It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter how you break the ANC constitution, how you break the basic rules of justice and natural justice. It doesn't matter as long as you can get rid of him, as long as you can try to make cheap propaganda a couple of days before the national conference. Now, I know that Cyril doesn't like me. The truth of the matter is that I do not like what he has done to the ANC. I certainly do not like what Cyril Ramaphosa had done in the manner that he became the president of the ANC. The corrupt way in which he bought his way, bribed his way with millions of rands in as president of the ANC. The lies that he had told to Parliament about monies that the CR17 campaign received. The blatant lies that he told about the relationship of his son Andila with Bosasa, his relationship with Glencore. Even if we go a little bit back in history, the disaster that unfolded at Marikana, the killing of so many people because of an email in which Ramaphosa demanded concomitant action. And then, of course, recently, the Pala Pala farm gate disaster, a scandal of note, which brought the African National Congress and our country into disrepute locally and internationally. We have become the laughing stock of the world. On the television screens of the world, Our president is made out as someone who illegally brought millions of dollars into South Africa. There are serious allegations that some of that money was actually meant for the African National Congress, to also pay the salaries of long-suffering staff members who've not been paid for months, who were losing their houses, their cars, whose families were falling apart because they were not paid. But this callous man took those illicit dollars, stuffed them into his mattresses, in the couches, in the furniture at his Pala Pala farm, took it for himself. Now, if you have a president like that, if that is what Cyril Ramaphosa personifies, how on earth must I, as a senior veteran member of the ANC, remain quiet? I will do a gross injustice to the African National Congress, to all my fellow comrades who've been part of the liberation struggle, many of them whom laid down their lives for our liberation, if I do not speak out. There's an old saying, if you keep quiet about evil, you become co-complicit. There was absolutely no way that I was prepared with my history, with the sacrifices that I've made, with the dedication that I've shown to the African National Congress and to our liberation struggle over a period of 43 years, after I'd served a 10-year prison sentence, after I've been tortured in detention. All of that, there's no ways that I'm now going to remain quiet. What integrity will I have if I decided to remain silent, like that sellout, spineless National Executive Committee of the ANC did? So I had to speak out. I had absolutely no option. If I wanted to be true to myself, if I wanted to be in continuation of the commitments that brought me to join the ANC at the young age of 19, to sacrifice my youth, to sacrifice most of my life in service of our liberation and the African National Congress, I had to speak out. And I'm disgusted with senior leaders in the ANC, members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, who do not have the guts to speak out, who sit silently in NEC meetings, who do not challenge Ramaphosa, who allow him to treat them with disdain, who come to one NEC meeting after the other to be pulled out of the way. Sometimes he doesn't even arrive, he doesn't even pitch for those meetings. When he's there, he comes for a short while and he leaves. They allow themselves to be intimidated by that bully of a chair of the African National Congress, Gwede Mantashe. When they try to speak, Mantashe just simply and abruptly ends NEC meetings and says a decision had been taken, even although it had not been taken. We are going to protect and support Ramaphosa. We are not going to vote in favor of the report of the independent panel that had been set up by Parliament. We are supporting Ramaphosa taking the commission, the independent panel of his own Parliament, his own members of Parliament on the review, straight to his friend Zondo in the Constitutional Court. You know, I can go on and on, but it's not really necessary because the facts are known. I've stated all of these matters before. It has been reported in detail. So what am I going to do now? First of all, of course, I'm not going to accept this expulsion from the ANC by this Mickey Mouse, ill-constituted, pre-programmed National Disciplinary Committee. I am going to fight them. I've already instructed my attorney and my fellow comrade, Matthew Sposa, to lodge an appeal, and it was done within hours after that letter from the National Disciplinary Committee was so disrespectfully making the rounds in social media. So I have now appealed. And in terms of the law, once I have appealed, my expulsion is suspended until that appeal is heard. So I'm sitting here legally as a full member of the African National Congress. I will continue to carry out my duties and my tasks as a member of the ANC who has a duty to try and do everything within my limited and humble means to defend the ANC, to protect the ANC against sellouts, such as Cyril Ramaphosa is. Therefore, I will continue to protest that Ramaphosa must go. It is also my intention to go to the 55th National Conference of the ANC. I've got the right to attend. I'm a veteran member of the ANC. I'm a delegate from my branch, and on top of that, I'm a former NEC member of the African National Congress. On all those scores, I've got the fullest right to be present in the conference of the African National Congress, as I've been throughout my long life and history in the African National Congress. I don't know if I will be allowed to enter. I don't know if all these thugs that have now taken control of our beloved liberation movement will see it fit to go right in the face of what is legal, what is correct, what is ANC, what is in line with the culture of the ANC, and to prevent me from being able to go to that conference and to be there present as the long-serving and full in good standing member of the African National Congress that I am. I've reached the point where I know that I should expect truly anything from these thugs. But one thing you can be sure of, I am not going to budge. I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to cower in some corner. I will forge ahead. I will continue to state my view that Cyril Ramaphosa must go. I will continue to challenge my fellow comrades in the National Executive Committee of the ANC, many of whom I've known for many, many decades, people I've worked with, people who at one stage in their lives I've seen as committed members of the ANC. But I must sadly say that some of them have deeply, fundamentally disappointed. So I will not budge. I will not change my views. I will not be intimidated. I will not cower away in some quiet, hidden corner. I've traveled yesterday from Johannesburg to Cape Town. I've met last night with members of Parliament of the ANC who've made it clear that they are going to vote in favor of the report of the independent panel, that they will not be intimidated by the threats of Gwede Mantashe and by the Chief Whip of the African National Congress, that they've got the right and the duty to execute their views and to act in terms of their conscience. I applaud them. I applaud Comrade Supra Mahomopelo, Comrade Lindiwe Sisulu, Zweli Mkhize, Lindiwe Sisulu, Mervyn Dirks, and a number of other ANC members of Parliament. I sincerely hope there will be enough of them who today will vote with their conscience, who will do the right thing in order to protect the integrity of the ANC and save the ANC. I will be proud of every one of those comrades who will stand up in the National Assembly and say, we vote for the report of the independent panel. Cyril Ramaphosa must be held accountable. An impeachment process against him must commence. I will truly be prepared to stand with those comrades on the steps of Parliament and praise them for their courage. So as I've done for a long time now, for over a year, protesting through the length and the breadth of our country, I will do so today again. I will stand there at Parliament with this very same poster, the poster that I held in my hands so many times with this very same message. Ramaphosa must go. And of course, I will be dressed in the colors, the black, green, and gold of my beloved liberation movement. The colors that I've earned to wear. I didn't join just yesterday. I'm no Johnny-come-lately within the African National Congress. I've earned my stripes. My blood is black, green, and gold. And not Cyril Ramaphosa, that Johnny-come-lately in the ANC. Not this kind of small National Disciplinary Committee that doesn't even reflect what the ANC Constitution says it should be. Not these minions will fire me from the ANC. They cannot expel me from the ANC. Because you see, when you've gone through what I've gone through, when you've joined the ANC at such a young age, when you sacrificed your whole life, your youth, when your family has rejected you because of your membership of the ANC and because of your fight against apartheid, when all of that is done, the ANC is not some membership card that you collect somewhere. The ANC is not some organization that you join now that it is in power, now that it is the governing party, in order to be able to get tenders, to be able to benefit from the patronage that a governing party can give. No, the ANC is in your blood. The ANC is that organization when you join, then there's nothing to gain from doing so. Absolutely nothing, except for pain, sweat, and tears. But when I stood up this morning, I was quietly sitting, first having my first cup of coffee, thinking about my life, thinking about the role that I was given and which I'm very humbled by, to be part of the liberation struggle of our beloved country. The role this organization, with this emblem, had given me. The words that I heard from Comrade Oliver Reginald Tambo, talking about full liberation. How I was involved in the underground. How I saw some of my comrades being killed. How I sat in prison listening on that little radio that was there built into the prison wall when the announcement was made that one of my closest comrades, Vincent Shabalala, who I helped to leave the country to cross the border to Botswana, had returned back to the country, was betrayed by a very senior member of the ANC, and that member knows who he is. Was betrayed by that man. Was therefore cornered in a safe house in Alexandra, and after a courageous firefight, was shot dead by the South African Security Police. I can never betray Vincent. Never. I can never betray those many other comrades who have laid down their lives, who've made the ultimate sacrifice in the struggle for our liberation. I cannot make common cause with sellouts. I cannot make common cause with people who have infiltrated the ANC as Cyril Ramaphosa had done, with one intention, and that is to abuse the ANC, to use the love of the people for the African National Congress, to hollow the ANC out, to use it as a Trojan horse in order to advance his sellout project, to advance the interests of white monopoly capitalism and of imperialism. No. How can anyone, even for 1 millisecond, believe that I will make common cause with such a devil, with such betrayal? My dear friends and comrades, fellow South Africans, I will never do that. I will never betray the liberation struggle. I will continue to fight. Now the enemy is, and the target is clear, and he must be removed at the 55th National Conference of the ANC. That enemy is Cyril Ramaphosa. And today at the National Assembly at Parliament here in Cape Town, I will stand in these black, green and gold colors, holding up again, as I've done so many times, this message: Ramaphosa must go. And I will continue to dedicate and rededicate myself to the full liberation, also the economic liberation of the majority of black and especially the African people. Aluta.